Bloomberg says we spend sometimes $7 billion subsidizing consumption. It may drop to $3 billion now. It makes no economic sense for the NNPC to subsidize consumption. Now, I want to put you on record that when the budget comes out for subsidizing consumption, I'll be voting against it, and I will urge my colleagues to totally vote against it because it makes no economic sense. That is why we are so
put the question.
So the question is, I'm putting your notice, I'll be voting against it. Now, I hope when the budget shows up, you will not be asking for us to subsidize consumption, and I urge you not to. Thank you.
Senator Shirusani.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Nominee, I just have two questions. The first one is on the issue of abandoned projects by the NNPC. In my constituency, there is a petroleum institute that was built, furnished, and was abandoned. That is one. Secondly, I will take you on some of the measures you have taken since you took over office, which is the sacking of some staffs of NNPC, which you euphemistically said rationalization. Now, what have you provided for those persons? Because I had a series of complaints from them. And again, I want you to make a clarification about the exploration of oil in the north, particularly in the Benue and the Lake Chad region. Thank you.
Minority Leader.
Minority Leader, will you please go to your seat? According to the rules of the Senate, you cannot speak from anywhere except from your seat. Thank you very much, Minority Leader. You are the best.
I'm sure you are surprised the President remembered me.
No, I'm not.
Your Excellency, the Senate President, my colleagues, I just want to ask two questions. First, let me commend the President, President Muhammadu Buhari, for going outside party line to bring people of credibility and integrity that can help the economy. Dr. Ibe Kachikwu is one. He's somebody you cannot say is in any political party. So the question.
Could you answer your question?
You are from the south part of Nigeria, and we from the south. I don't know whether my leader, general manager, will have the opportunity. That is why I'm commending the President on behalf of the south for finding you fit. Now, the question I would like to ask is that when you were speaking, you made mention of the fact that already you have started the unbundling of the bureaucracy in the NNPC. If you are confirmed by this Senate as a member of the Federal Executive Council, will you also support presidential initiative to also unbundle the bureaucracy that has eaten up the expenses of Nigeria, making it 78% recurrent expenses and only 22% capital expenses on a yearly basis? Reason why we are saying that is that about almost 622 federal parastatals exist with directors general, in addition to 36 ministers. And the DGs are almost like ministers. So the result is that we have heavy weight, and the federal government has taken on things that they ought not to, like like super primary school education, all sorts of things, borehole, the same thing local governments are doing. If you want to release money for capital project, from my experience as a governor, you cannot have recurring expenses of 75% to 80%, and then you have 22% for capital project, and then you expect to have real life. Then we are talking semantics. So I'm asking that as somebody who has been in the private sector, and somebody who has already started the initiative to release money for major projects in the NNPC, will you support the federal government to unbundle this system, reduce the weight on recurring expenses, reduce the number of directors general, reduce the idea of one ministry having 9 directors general, and by implication 10 ministers, so that this country can have money for capital projects. The last I would like to ask is, now you are here before us, standing as the Minister of Petroleum. If you are confirmed, you are now a GMD, you are a nominee. If you are confirmed and you are given Petroleum Ministry, will you take phone calls from governors and senators in future? Because we have had experience where even myself, serving as governor of an oil producing state that produces over 750,000 barrels of crude oil a day for Nigeria, and had the onerous task of ensuring the protection of the riverine area. You were a vice chairman in ExxonMobil. I was not able to speak to a minister of petroleum in this country for 3 years. And also, I want to ask you another thing.
From what time to what time?
Will you ensure justice?
Minority Leader.
Will you ensure
From what period to period was that?
Yes.
From what period to what period was that?
Are we not talking about change?
No, I'm just talking. What period to what period?
We are talking about change now.
Period to what period?
If you are talking about this, will you make yourself accessible? Will you make yourself accessible to stakeholders? These senators who are here, including the ones on this side, and then governors who can give you advice that will move the industry forward. Because if we are running a mono economy, what happens in NNPC automatically happens to Nigeria. And I just want to give you information, sir. For 7 months, we had no single revenue from NNPC in the federation account. We used to have
Order. Please let the minority leader ask his question.
You have to go by the rules. Ask the question.
In your short stay as GMD, have you been able to make contribution towards the federation account? Because we had a period where for 7 months we had zero allocation. We're sharing money only from customs and from Federal Inland Revenue Service.
This was when you were
governor. Can you tell us what you have done to improve it? Now, on a monthly basis, we had no money coming in from NNPC at all. And so the state became broke. And then most of us left frustrated as governors. We could not complete our projects. What have you been able to do in the last 2 months to change the paradigm? Those are the questions, sir.
All right, thank you, Minority Leader. Senator Nkwi.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Suleiman Nkwi. Mine is a straight follow-up question to one of the questions that were earlier thrown, but with direct clarity on the issue of subsidy, an issue that we all agree is a double-edged sword. Under the current agenda of change, of course, we definitely believe there is a lot of issues surrounding the item of subsidy. One can talk endlessly when a government wants to attack from the heart the issue of corruption. Certainly, the issue of subsidy is a very germane issue. My question directly to you, honestly, what is your position and what is your state of mind on the issue of subsidy? Do you, as a follow-up, or will you support the policy of maintaining subsidy? Or will you come up with options of abolishing subsidy? If it is the latter, that is, you feel it should be withdrawn, to my mind, what are the palliatives you believe Nigerians